It is that time gives me a great pleasure as well as a wonderful opportunity to introduce to you guys the mayor. I want to introduce the psalm and present to others the mayor of St. Louis, Mayor Claire Spencer. Let's give her a hand as she comes. Yeah.
Boy, I'm going to have to hold it. Thank you, Pastor Nix. Thank you so much for hosting us tonight. And thank you for being such a willing and an excellent partner here in community outreach as we move forward. Before I give remarks and start the Q&A section, I do want to recognize we have several members of the city staff here who are here to answer questions, who are joining us. And I want to just turn it over for a few quick minutes to the alderpersons that are hosting us tonight to offer a few words before I take the stage. Alderman Browning and Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. I'll start with Alderwoman Clark Hubbard only because she was still sitting. I'm just kidding. Oh, because she's got seniority. And I just want to say on the forefront, our alderpersons have been phenomenal partners, but Alderwoman Clark Hubbard and Alderman Browning have done a phenomenal job communicating with our office, representing the needs of the community, and just being out and being present and working so tirelessly. Everywhere I go in the 9th or 10th ward, I see one or both of them. It's been really, really encouraging and really incredible the amount of boots on the ground that you both displayed through this. With that, I'll turn it over to Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
All right.
With this extremely heavy microphone.
Does it have to stay in the, does it have to stay? Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Shameen Clark Hubbard. I humbly serve as the Alder Lady in the 10th Ward in the city of St. Louis. That's 8 neighborhoods. Whiteout Skinker, Skinker de Bolivar Place, West End, Visitation Park, Academy Sherman Park, Fountain Park, and Lewis Place. And in those 8 neighborhoods, if you lay a map of the impact and the path of the tornado on top of it, they align. It went through all 8 neighborhoods. And so for me, since May 16th, being on the ground in all those neighborhoods, the biggest thing that glares at me is the disparity in the positioning that constituents were able to respond. And so now that means presence. That means coming to them with truth and facts. That means cooperation and collaboration with our mayor. Even down to this night, everybody in the 10th Ward, we usually meet on the last Monday of the month every month. And this month we pivoted because we wanted to be here, 1, myself in support, but 2, to make sure that we heard and get the information so that we can share it back out. Everybody in here, now you got a job to do. Not only is it being shared live on STL TV, but we want to make sure we share this information with our neighbors because we know that wholeness it's going to look different for everyone in their space. And so being able to fill in the gaps, whatever their gaps are, with your network is what we have to do. And that's what the community did when they showed up on day 1. That's what our administrations, both levels of the administration, our city departments, and most importantly, our city workers did from day 1. And now, going on 7 weeks later, we know the need is still there. So I'm here to listen and be supportive, Mayor Spencer, but also be able to carry this back so that we can make sure that everyone has the tools and the resources they need to get back to the square, whatever the square was that they were in before. I would be remiss if I didn't mention, and I told the families this, that everywhere I go, and when I talk about this, in the 10th Ward, not only did we lose property, but we lost life, right? And so it's important to uplift. There's 2 amazing women and servants in the community, mothers, grandmothers, wives. We know now part of the responsibility is to make sure that that loss wasn't in vain either, right? And so I thank you all for taking the time out on a Monday night to be here. I thank my colleague, as I bring him up, Alderman Browning of the 9th Ward, for welcoming us in his ward this evening. And just know that we'll be here for not only the duration of the meeting, but the duration of this recovery. So please don't feel like there's nothing you can ask. There's not too much. There's no silly or stupid questions. There's nothing. Please ask everything so that you can be empowered to empower somebody else with the answers. Thank you all for being here this evening.
Thank you, Alderman Clark Hubbard. I'll just start with some somber remarks. I think we don't know how we're going to react to situations like this until we're in them. We don't know the heroes among us until we have a chance to step up and show who we are. And in the wake of this disaster, this storm, we've seen the best of St. Louis show up and show out and show who they are. And I am so proud of our communities for coming together, crossing those lines that previously divided us and reaching out and being of service to each other. And as time fades and as we go on, I want to make sure that we keep that spirit of service in us, that we understand that none of us can handle this on our own, just as this city cannot handle this on our own. And I do want to acknowledge our congressman is here tonight as well, Mr. Wesley Bell. Speaking of not doing it alone, we waited a long time for help from the state and from the federal government. Thanks to the tireless work of our mayor's administration, we got that help finally. But it wasn't easy. We had to bite, scratch, and claw our way to getting it. We had to put our best foot forward and make that argument. 10 years ago, when a deadly tornado hit Joplin, the federal and state governments showed up and worked hand in hand with the community on day one. That didn't happen here. It was you all who had to stand up and work together to make sure that we could climb out of the hole that we were in and start the path to recovery. So as we move on to these few weeks and these next several months that are coming, it may be easy to let resentment and bitterness set in and ask, why aren't things moving faster? But please remember, it is up to us to get them moving. It is up to us to try and connect people with everything that we can, even the resources as limited as they are. We're going to do as right by you as we can, because this is our city, this is our people, this is our community. And so I love seeing everyone here tonight. Thank you to Pastor Nix for inviting us into his church here. And I really, really want to emphasize that you all are going to be what makes our city succeed in the future. If we can't come together now, there will not be a time that we can come together. So let's all put our heads together, let's all roll up our sleeves, and let's make sure that this city comes out better for it, because we don't need to go back to the city we were before this. We can become a better city because of this. And with that, I'll hand it back to the mayor. Thank you all.
Amen.
Thank you, Alderman Browning and Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. I want to acknowledge our Congressman Wesley Bell's in the House. I also understand that Representative Del Taylor there we go, just walked in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all your work. I want to just open up and say thank you to Missionary Baptist Church for hosting us again. I want to thank our city departments. As we get into this, I want to also thank our volunteers and the community organizations that have also been pointed to. But, as Alderman Browning pointed out, we were, those first few days were really tough. And without the community organizations stepping up, in particular, some of whom I saw in the hallway, maybe in here, Action St. Louis, For the Culture, For the Ville, Invest STL. We had so many organizations, the Urban League, Salvation Army, the list goes on and on. But obviously the city was not able to hold the entirety of the disaster, and we would have been so much worse off had it not been for the community organizations really stepping up. Thank you. We also had a tremendous response. I thought what I do here is just kind of outline a timeline to kind of level set us before we get into Q&A. Some of the details of the city's response, while I know it hasn't been enough, it also at the same time has been tremendous. To see our first responders, the fire district from our city, as well as fire districts from around the region coming together the night of May 16th to make sure there weren't further loss of life. You've probably seen by now the story on Fox 2 of the fire department, the fire fighters, and the police officers together collectively saving the life of someone. This was just one story that was highlighted. That work was done in collaboration, coordination, and with true community spirit. And I think the world of our city workers, our first responders, and the folks that have been doing that work. As you know, on March 16th, we declared a state of emergency here in the city. It activated and opened up our city budget to be able to deploy resources in a fashion that was able to make us more nimble and more responsive. We conducted, I just thought I'll just go through some facts here. I know this part is fairly boring, so stick with me just as I get this stuff out of the way, okay? We were able to search and rescue, again, complete that within 48 hours. That meant that we had 2,500 plus buildings searched and made sure that we didn't have further loss of life. All streets within 2 days were made passable. This was no small feat. We had an enormous amount of clearage out there, and many of you know that you were not able to get through Kings Highway. Lindell was closed. The majority of streets around here had some level of impassability, and we made sure that we could get the first responders. When we went through right off the bat, there were entire blocks, several at a time, that had downed electrical lines. It was so important to us to get those down, to get responders to be able to get to those down lines, to get the power restored and power turned off in many instances to make our community safer. You know, right off the bat, we had a call for asking people to stay at home. We had a lot of disaster purveyors, people who were just gawking at our community. This was unacceptable. It was clogging up our streets, and we knew there were so many down wires. We wanted to make sure people were safe, and we were able to do that within just two days. Within a couple of weeks, we triaged. Ameren was a tremendous partner in getting the electricity up and running. We cleared and made some new protocols for that. Many of you know, I'm sure all of you know by now, that our siren didn't go off, our tornado siren. And within a few days, we had triaged and established a new tornado siren protocol. These were important steps right off the bat. I can go through a whole long list here, but I just want to say, too, as we stand here, and I think rather than kind of go through all these facts, what I'll talk about tonight is what you want to talk about, and maybe just hear some questions from the community. But before we do that, if I could, in addition to acknowledging our alderpersons, who I've mentioned have been on the ground since day one, I want to acknowledge some of my city staff, so you can put some names to some faces here. Our director of operations, who if anybody was to even think that he was related to the pastor here, Pastor Nix, the resemblance is uncanny. Julian Nix has been instrumental in our team in helping to develop the operations. We have Dr. Adam Pearson, who's been heading up human services for quite some time here in our city. Sean Hadley, who's new to our city and streets department, but has been so helpful. Greg Hayes of our city parks department, who mobilized his crews right off the bat, and more crews tapped into contracts with existing contractors to make sure that we could get out there and get our roads cleared. Director Sean Days, public safety, who's over building division and a whole host of departments that aren't just the police and fire department, but making sure that we were able to get inspectors out there. Of course, our building division head, Ed Ware, Sergeant McLaughlin, who's been here with us doing all sorts of things, Don Rowe. I'm so sorry, are you with us? Shelton, I didn't recognize you with SLDC. I could go, and of course the rest of the mayor's office. Many of our staff are here. My director of operations, Nancy Hawes, Emily Tenhouse, and many of you know Casey Milberg, who does policy. The list goes on and on. Otis Williams is here with SLDC. We have a whole host of folks in the room that have been working really, really hard since the May 16th tornado. But let me repeat, we know that what we have done is not enough. It is really humbling to stand before you and know that our team has been working so hard for the last 7 weeks, and we know that we are not doing enough to make our community whole. We have a very long road ahead. And this town hall is one of several that we've had, and in a long line of many others that we will continue to have to continue to give to build input and to build consensus around what the rebuild looks like. One of the things that Alderman Browning mentioned was that we didn't have the assistance of FEMA right off the bat. But make no mistake, FEMA's here now, and the director who is here with us, Willie Nunn, it was not his decision to not be here, and it is everything in his power to be here with us and to support us in every way that FEMA is currently authorized under this administration to be here. The staff on the ground have been phenomenal. We do not want the fact that they were not here on day one to impact anyone's decision to interface with FEMA. To this date, in just less than 3 weeks, they have already assisted 4,000 families and distributed $20 million direct to families. And that is no small feat, and that is just the beginning. We have up until August 11th to get applied. Even if you think you do not qualify or you have gotten one rejection letter, please apply again. It is often that there's just some small piece of missing information, and we can work to make that work for you. As well, we have SBA, the Small Business Administration. Believe it or not, despite their name, the vast majority of assistance that SBA gives is to individuals. In fact, about 80%. We know many of you do not want to take out a loan. I don't blame you. But if you do choose to go that route, they make it very easy. They have a very attractive, low interest rate product that can be very, very nimble with regards to your credit scores and a whole host of things, and they will work with you to make access to capital for those who choose that way and may want to even use it to expand. Very, very possible and easy. They've been great partners to us from day one as well. I also want to give out a shout out to neighbors in the community, many of whom maybe are more, I have to say, the folks in the more affluent parts of our neighborhoods have been the least interfacing with our office, which means we haven't heard from you, and we're grateful. That means that many members of our community have recognized their privilege and taken it upon themselves to really help themselves and to serve their own best interests. I just want to say thank you to that, because it doesn't give enough credit to our neighbors who really stepped up and not only were experiencing damage themselves, but helping some of their less fortunate neighbors. It's not lost on us. We see that, and we're very, very grateful as a community for those efforts. Okay, have I talked long enough without answering questions?
So what we're going to do is, I know a lot of people got note cards to be able to ask questions, at least initially. What we wanted to do was make sure for those who got note cards for commonly asked questions to maybe ask some of those first that we got in the list before we open up to broader open Q&A from the crowd. And so maybe I'll still in the second microphone. So the first one is, a lot of people had mentioned that they recognize a lot of funding's been announced, whether that be from the city, state, and federal level. And so the first question was, what will be done with the money from both the city and the state, and when can people expect to maybe see that in the community?
When we were really struggling at the front end of this to get FEMA involved, we know the federal funding is the biggest pot of money. One of the things that FEMA is very clear about is they're not going to replicate programs that we have here locally. So we wanted to engage FEMA before we started to distribute any of our local funds, basically to make sure that we weren't prohibiting or preventing any federal funding that would come to our neighborhoods and our communities. We know that our local funding is obviously finite. And also the most nimble. Okay, so now that FEMA funding is starting to get distributed into our community, we're starting to better understand where the gaps are. The state funding, that's the second big pot of money. We were given 2 major awards in that regard. The state legislature in a special session passed a bill that allowed for $100 million direct aid to St. Louis City, and $25 million specifically targeted towards the un- and underinsured. These are state programs. The second of which, that $25 million for the un- and underinsured, is going through MHDC, and we just learned that it probably will not be available to residents until mid-August. We are going to do everything in our power to streamline that as much as we have control over, and we are secondly going to make sure that the moment that those funds become available, we are helping to distribute the information and get our residents qualified, because those programs technically are statewide. And we want to make sure our residents have access to those funds as quickly and as meaningfully as possible. The last program statewide is one in which you can apply for a state tax deductible for your, a tax credit for your deductible. And we're working on getting that information out. The $100 million is going through the Department of Public Safety. We are still working on the ways in which those are going to benefit the city of St. Louis. So that covers the federal and the state. Let's talk about local, because the Board of Aldermen also passed an initiative to green light and give to the tornado response $30 million of the RAMS interest funds. Now that has become law last week, we are working to immediately pivot and put some of those funds to use right away. Our first priorities are in 3 main buckets. The first of which is to keep the organizations that have been working tirelessly to serve our community. I think I saw Dr. Punch come in at some point, working to serve our community that have been, frankly, using their own funds and are running out of funds. We want to make sure that we get funds into the hands of folks and into the organizations that have been serving our community. Number 2, cooling and helping folks that are experiencing homelessness or similar to homelessness. If you have a home whose entire back is missing, it is next to, you can't keep that building cool. And we recognize that, and we want to provide some cooling resources. And lastly, we're going to be doing some staffing that are going to help us be able to shift and pivot the mayor's office back to regular functioning, but have a long-term strategy for staffing and doing direct outreach to communities so we can make sure like that $25 million has a path to getting in to folks. So look for that in the coming days. We're trying to do that within the law. We know when you're using tax dollars, there are some hurdles here. There's some things that we want to make sure that we're following compliance on, but those are our priorities for getting at least the initial tranche of funds out. We also have some other programs, that I should mention, some of which are going to come online specifically tomorrow. One of the big hurdles for getting cooling and that sort of thing is having your electricity connected. We know of several hundred instances where a household has had the Ameren box completely ripped off or damaged in such a way that the box needs an electrician, a certified electrician, to come back on and reconnect. That is a very costly repair and does almost no good to the end years other than the power going on. So we've partnered with Guarantee Electric, Saks, and the IBEW, and they are going to be rolling out a program tomorrow morning that is going to be doing the reconnects. I guess I kind of gave away one of our big things tomorrow, but that's okay. We've been talking about it. It's really important. We want you all to know about it because the moment it comes online, we want you to be able to apply for it. We also have some stabilization funds, $5.6 million of ARPA funds that we are targeting to stabilize buildings. We have some other programs that are going to be coming online in the coming day, primarily tomorrow, that we'll be able to talk about and give you more specifics on so we can get folks connected in those ways.
Perfect. So the next question is really kind of about broader debris and recognizing there's still debris on streets, and what's the city's plan for both debris management but also unsafe structures within the community?
The debris management has been a true feat. I mean, I have to give, like I said, Greg Hayes, our forestry and our parks departments, so a real kudos here. But there were also tens of local contractors that came to the table, literally calling us on Saturday following the tornado. Everybody from Clayco, Alberici, McCarthy, all these major contractors saying, how can we help? They doubled our capacity for over 2 weeks. We had about 25 front and back loaders each that were clearing streets. They doubled that, and so we had a huge contingency on our streets. Just clearing debris. Residents can just could just push the debris to the front of their house, and we were clearing that, and we were really successful at getting just football field of debris out of the community. And we also stood up some debris drop sites for folks that were able to do repair works themselves but didn't have anywhere to drop it and didn't want to leave that load sitting in front of their homes. The volunteer contractors have ceased their activities, okay, and we sunsetted the drop sites, but that does not mean we are pulling back on debris removal. We are committed to getting all of the debris as it relates to the tornado out of our communities. It is going to take time, and we recognize that. We have been under an emergency contract with some debris removal contractors. We're going to extend that, and we're also going to continue. We're going to be issuing an RFP to our larger debris removal plan that will come online in the coming days, I think next week. But you have our promise and our pledge that we are committed to removing debris from our communities. We also know that to be in FEMA compliance, there was a lot of conversations and a lot of work that had to go into that. We are continuing to have those conversations, and we're continuing to evolve as FEMA's evolving even sometimes in front of us. But we are committed to doing that, doing it right. As part of that, I also want to mention that safety of our community is at the forefront of those conversations. Hey, there's our forestry director, Ellen. I didn't see you back there. That safety is also incredibly important. Okay, homes that were built before the 70s, as almost all of ours were, have asbestos, they have lead. These are issues that can have really serious contamination concerns. We have monitors in place. We're continuing to monitor the air quality. We will continue to do that as the demolitions start. We're starting our demolitions in the coming days, but we are starting in a very, very targeted manner. We are going to start with buildings that were vacant and condemned before the tornado, with a couple of key exceptions. The exception number one would be if a building has fallen onto an adjacent property and is threatening the well-being of an adjacent property. Number two, if you are a property owner whose building has been so badly damaged that it cannot be that it's beyond repair, and you're looking for what we're calling a compassionate partner in demolition, we are considering those. And other than that, unless it was vacant and condemned prior to the tornado, that is not going to be in our initial focus area in demolition. So if you're worried about your property getting demolished and you don't fit into those two other buckets, please do not worry. We are not going to take down your building. It's going to take us some time to get that phase right, and then after that, we're going to go into phase two, but not before some more community conversations. Can we take a... The brick right now, we are not salvaging. We are strongly considering and looking into something like a brick bank, because our brick is truly, it's truly phenomenal. That. So we are looking into the policies and the safety around brick banks. One of the things that I didn't even know about when it came to salvaging bricks was that if you have a building that has imploded or fallen because of a tornado, there is the very real possibility that asbestos and other contaminants are in that brick because of the way the building came down. So you have to clean it. So we're looking into that. Our first priority right now is the safety and well-being of communities, while brick is like a second, and because it truly is a community asset. Our bricks, when buildings fall, they're sold to other cities, and they are beautiful and they are valuable. And so we want to keep them all here. It is.
We need to keep them all here.
I'm with you. I'm with you. We don't have an answer to that right now, but it is on our radar, and we do recognize the importance and the value of the brick. And we are encouraging people, if you do own brick structures or brick, consider self-keeping it. Right now, we're struggling with how to do that safely in a massive way because of the potential for asbestos and other things.
Asbestos is broke. You know what asbestos is?
Yes.
So the brick, it's gonna be wiped down. It's a lot of things.
You definitely can do that.
It's 3 layers, so we can. I just think before we get rid of them, or
There are
the demo guys, and they get to their yard and they start selling the brick. So that's all I'm saying.
We are encouraging people to save their own brick right now, and you're absolutely correct. It is very possible to remediate the asbestos from brick. There is no doubt about it. We're struggling with how to do that on mass scale without a proper protocol for how to do that. My point is that it's on our radar. We don't have it all worked out yet, and we do appreciate anybody who prioritizes brick and is willing to hold and keep their own brick for now. And just, we're trying to spread the word that this is not trash. It is very valuable, and if you own brick, please keep it.
But I'm saying it's the same hazard
Yeah.
to remove the brick.
Hey, we just,
You're right.
That's what I'm saying. Same hazard.
You're right.
You're
totally right.
The water is the same hazard.
You're right.
Remove it with asbestos. That's all. I'm not being deliberate.
No, I hear you. You're right. You're right.
We just want our brick. We need our brick.
Keep your brick. Don't give it away. Yes.
all right. So another follow-up question to the debris is kind of what was the purpose and kind of role of the National Guard while they were deployed here in the city?
Yeah, the National Guard. Oh, you know, a lot of people were asking right off the bat, why didn't we have the National Guard deployed here? We did not invite the National Guard or encourage the National Guard here to come here for security reasons. We didn't want that, okay? That we have seen the National Guard in our community for security before. It was not something as mayor that I chose to activate or wanted to activate, and I'm grateful that our police department, our first responders, our fire department was able to really keep the community safe and secure without that. And I think that was, I'm grateful that we were able to do that. The National Guard was invited, they actually came here and helped us determine what their current manpower could help us do, and it was with the National Guard we decided to have them help us do the debris hubs, and they were there with big loaders helping us to manage the debris, the voluntary debris drop sites. They were here for a couple weeks and they managed that well, but you know, that sunsetted, and the decision was that we were able, for what they were able to, you know, provide us, you know, the community that we felt, you know, wanted to use the drop site used it, and we moved on. But yeah, but they were great. Did anybody go to those drop sites and interface with the National Guard? They were great. Well, they were. I'm glad to hear that. Did you what? That was the thing. A lot of people didn't have trucks. We know it was utilized by some, but we also recognize that, you know, and they weren't able to actually go down the streets and do debris removal that way. So there's some things that the National Guard are trained to do, and there's some things that they are not trained to do. So we were working within the confines of what they had availability to do. They were an engineer brigade, and they were able to use those trucks and help them at the sites, but there was a limit to what they were able to do.
So we'll maybe do one last question, and then what we'll do is we'll start to take people kind of direct questions from the audience, but we'll ask kind of one more.
I need to questions in advance. I don't know.
Why did you have us put those on there? We gonna take it from the audience. Why did you have us fill that out?
You know what? I'll tell you what. I will answer all questions all night long. So if there's a question that you wrote down.
We should,
Yeah.
we should, because we got class in the morning.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You want to start taking questions now?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm going to be here all night long. I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, so sounds good. So we'll just immediately go to kind of quick broader questions from the audience. Those were the main big topics that came up. But if we did not ask you a direct question, feel free to kind of ask it during open Q&A. And we'll start right here.
My question is that we've applied for FEMA, Red Cross.
Would you mind stepping up to the
Okay.
microphone?
Oh, and you know what? If you don't want to stand, I can repeat your question for anybody in the audience that doesn't want to stand. Is that mine?
It's on.
You've applied for FEMA, SBA, and
We've applied for all of them. And my question is this. You guys, you're doing other funding? Are your guidelines and stipulations going to be different from FEMA, Red Cross, and also SBA?
we're going to try. So, first of all, with regards to FEMA, if you've applied and been denied, please apply again. We want to make sure, and we have, our director Willie Nunn is here. Answer questions. We do have folks here from FEMA that if you have a question on the status of your application and want some guidance on that, please raise your hand, let us know, and we'll connect you while you're here so you don't have to come back, and we'll make sure we get those kind of questions. But
Our case is different because we have this beautiful home at the corner that was not built. It was a total loss.
okay, so I'll kind of. She's got. Is it working? It's working.
Oh, okay. Okay, so our situation is this. We spent all of our retirement on a home that we've had since 2011. The last thing we thought about was a tornado. We had just finished where we were going to be moving into this property 2 weeks from the tornado. My husband spent his whole retirement to find out that unless we live in this property, This house that was worth $250,000, we got a $68,000 check from our insurance company. The roof cost $79,000. That's the roof. And we don't qualify for anything because there's no mitigating circumstances. Our own insurance company said we didn't care if you had a chair, 2 tables, and a refrigerator. If you wasn't living in there 24/9, it was vacant. So we got hit with a vacant clause. 65% of our policy was taken from us. What can you rebuild? This is a house we had 2 weeks before we were going to move into. That was worth a nice amount of money for retirement. And we can't qualify for anything. I'm not going to say a name, but one of the inspectors came in. Because our insurance company took 3 weeks to come, black mold set in. This house was totally renovated. We had to gut it down to the stone. The inspector said, well, I don't see, what evidence did you live here? Well, maybe 3 weeks ago you would have seen it was totally renovated, painted, floors, everything. In the report, it says no evidence of us living there.
Was that a city inspector
livable.
was that an insurance inspector?
It was one of those 3 people I named that I'm religious about paperwork.
Okay.
If I see a denial or
Okay.
anything, any condition, I'm on it like this. I don't have a problem with paperwork. We've been withdrawn from programs. It's been horrible. But I know we're not the only ones that have these beautiful homes in the city that we did not ask for the tornado to come and tear down. And all that money is gone. All the money that we've saved to move into this house of retirement, it's gone. And nobody's saying, well, we can accommodate you. $3,000 is for 2 windows. We just spent $16,000 on windows and paid it off 2 months ago.
So, you did everything right?
We
Sounds
did
like-
everything right. We're not
sounds-
lying and
yeah.
saying we lived there. My husband stayed there a couple of nights to make sure nobody broke into it
Yeah.
and working on it. But unless we physically lived on it, yeah, we're blessed to have another property to live in until we figure this mess out.
Yeah.
But our house was a total loss. And $68,000 is what they gave us.
I don't know the answer right now. I know so many of these issues are going to be very specific to the circumstances. You have insurance. Your insurance had a clause.
Underinsured
Yes, yes.
is the case.
It is. I hear that, and I feel it. I don't know the answer right now, but I can tell you that the and underinsured is a priority for us. That's why we pushed. The governor heard us on that state program. I don't know what they're going to be able to do for you. Our plan is to see how those bigger pots of money can start to serve our community and then try to weave in our local programs to fill in the gaps. It's really helpful to hear your story. I know as painful as it is because it's on our radar, and as we move through the process, we're gonna try to fill in the gaps.
I just hope you have a second set of eyes that can do the mitigating circumstances,
Yeah.
because even on a mortgage, and I've had all those careers, there's always somebody that says, okay, well, we can tweak this, or we can readjust this. This is not a black and white thing.
One thing I can say that we have in place right now is some free legal advice. We had lawyers stationed at the Disaster Assistance Center.
Talk to them.
Did you talk to them?
Talk to them.
Have they been helpful?
They showed me where I needed to make sure I documented everything, which I do anyway, but it still didn't help them giving us $68,000, and we got a $79,000 roof repair.
At the DRCs, like we have established here, there are we're going to continue to have free legal advice. And then I hate asking you to wait until some of these programs at the state level
I'm
for
on
the
it. I'm
underinsured.
online all day long, so
but
yeah.
Once those come online, I would say try to make sure that if you can keep the black mold to a minimum, we're going to.
Oh, no, it's all gutted out. That's why that organization was like, well, I don't see any evidence that
Yeah.
you live there. Well, I guess you don't.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to take up the whole night.
No,
but,
I don't
But I also want to hear
either.
your case and see what we can do in the meantime. And as we roll out these bigger programs, that is our role, is to try to fill in the gaps.
Make
This
sure
is a
you
gap.
put one in for the fraudulent contractors, because we've already gotten taken for that.
And we do have a contractor database. We're taking in contractors that have registered with us to make sure at least we have a list of vetted contractors that are working with the city, that are reputable, to try to prevent some of that. I am sorry. That it's heartbreaking. I mean, I can't imagine.
Good evening.
Good evening.
On your scenario that you offered regarding the demolition of buildings that are beyond repair,
Yes.
is Cultural Resources on board with the policy that you're saying is going to be in place?
For the demolition of buildings that I've outlined.
Yes.
Specific to the individual houses, I
Yes.
don't know that we've got them all signed off on, now that you mentioned specific cultural resources. Are you having an issue with cultural resources?
Yes.
Okay.
And the building is
And-
dilapidated, has been hit by the tornado.
Okay.
It's a 3-wall building.
Okay.
It has been previously condemned, and we keep getting a runaround.
Okay.
It's at 5285 Delmar, and we keep getting a runaround
Okay.
regarding why no action can be taken.
We've got the director
That
here.
is wrong
Yes.
and inappropriate.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. We'll see what we can do. We don't have a program name. The term I used was compassionate demolition, and that is for properties that are beyond repair, and we are, looking at considering the demolition for properties that are beyond repair. Right now, we're going through the Citizen Service Bureau, which you can go online through the tornado portal on the city's website, or you can actually now, for Citizen Service Bureau, call 311. That was a big one. Yes. Mr. Tiny Homes.
Mr. Tanya, Mr. Ariane Johnson. What do we have in place for the youth?
Say it again?
What do we have in place for the youth? It's the summertime. What the youth? 5 weeks ago, someone recorded you. And you said that you heard about us over where we had. We haven't seen no one yet. I do appreciate my alderman coming to see me, and Mr. Clay. He came to make sure to take care of the kids. We ain't empty-handed, but the city haven't done anything. Even with the SLDS, they showed us a building at the Monarch. They took us around the Monarch, showed us classrooms, showed us warehouses. It was like a dad going to tell a kid something and then lying about it and didn't do it. And I went and told my 40 students about the situation at the Monarch, and then we got blackballed because of other organizations. Because we're not an organization. We've been boots on the ground since day one. We had a mission to build 100 tiny homes. My youth are here learning. They're learning to trade. This is gun prevention. They're not picking up guns. They're picking up nail guns and things of that nature. I can show you 110 different kids that I done had since these 5 weeks. You know what I mean? And we ain't asking for no money here. We're not asking for anything, but the support from the city is something that's needed.
How many are all these guys your guys? Are they your folks? How many of you guys have been working on tiny homes? And all you guys? You guys want to come up here? Yeah.
But since we got the SLDC here, we don't ask for anything. With some LRA lands that you guys do have, that we mind paying for it, but in the SLDC like this, I'm not. What's your name, boss?
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
No, his guy here.
Look at this. How long have you guys been working on these tiny homes? 5 weeks?
Not with you.
All your summer?
She the city.
And the remaining of the summer?
Wait, no. We're not gonna lose no kids through the summer, because from one summer to the next summer, I can lose them. This is the weekend. This is the all year. This is the after school. We're here to a lifetime. You can lose kids to a summer program. So the people that's chasing those grants, they here just for a summer program. Well, hey, let me tell you, when I was in this meeting, and I ain't want to cut anybody off, they talk about the rebuild of St. Louis.
Yeah.
it's not enough tradesmen here. It's not enough bricklayers and things like that to rebuild like how we just was. But if you go out into St. Charles and St. Peter's, those frame houses don't look bad. Those nice houses, those look good. We can do that here. We can have that same vision. We can sell our brick, but we don't have enough tradesmen out here. The people that's come out here, that's ridiculous for a roof price.
Yeah.
They hacking the prices up. But if we train the youth, like we doing, they building. They rebuild. Like, how you feel? Ready to build. Ready to build. But we gotta have support. We ain't stopped yet. You know what I mean? We ain't stopped yet, and it's like we need support. You hear me? We need support. We're not asking for financial support or anything. We're not asking for none of that. We tell them we need support. We don't need no promises. We don't need how long you doing. We telling we got all the data you need. We got our own funds. Y'all own the lands, and let me tell you something. The lands that we got marked is vacant eyesores right now. Y'all can grant us some of these lands, and I guarantee you within 3 weeks, you'll have a tiny home community that we already got built, but we ain't got nowhere to put our homes there right now. We promised the community 100 homes, and we don't have nowhere to put them, because why? Because we getting blackballed in different small little people that y'all finance. I'm not here to talk about nothing but them right now. But I'm telling you, we getting blackballed, and you got the power to help us out. Okay. This guy here, I got you.
Okay, I'm gonna. You have my word. I'm gonna stay after. We'll try to figure something out.
I understand.
But before we do that, can you introduce all these folks?
No, it's more than that. It's more than that.
But these folks came out. I would like to.
Give her the mic. They can do it themselves.
Would you introduce yourselves?
Talk up like how you talking in class.
Hi, I'm Logan Shields.
Thank you, Logan.
And I want y'all to tell the people here what the program did for y'all and what y'all getting out of the program.
Thank you, Logan.
My name is Antonio Shockley. I'm a 14-year-old black male that's out here building houses instead of shooting people, stealing cars, all that. I'm out here building and doing what I like to do to help my community. And I love all black, white people, no matter the race. I don't know if y'all good, bad, I don't know. But I know that we need some support from our community.
My name is Arion Johnson Jr., and I'm here building the community back up for people that was getting affected by the tornado. We helping building houses, tiny homes, buses for homes, helping people just build the community back up the way it used to be, basically.
Hey, how y'all doing? I'm Michael Ramsey, and it's actually been fun, for real.
Talk up.
It's been fun, for real, learning how to measure and do other things, build houses and stuff, laying drywall, pretty fun for me. But this is just to help everybody that's outside living in tents, just put a roof over their head and do something good for them.
Hi, my name is Jason Grimm, and we learn to trade, and then we doing stuff for the community too. If we could get everybody support and help in, then it'll be better. And we also learn the whole trade. Everybody here, we all learn something in just 1 week, 3 days. We all learn something.
I'm Jeremiah McCoy. We're learning trade, we're learning how to build, we're learning life skills, and we're also learning how to be men in the process. We've learned a lot. And we would accept all the help we could get from this.
My name is Zion Taylor. And the tiny homes, it helps us with having something that can, instead of just being on the phone all day or being on the game or, like like Arion said, being in the streets or something, it helps us do something that can not just help us for right now, but like help us with the lifetime and for future, dedication. And I learned some things. I learned how to, I learned how to nail stuff in. I learned how to use a measuring tape properly. Just all type of things.
My name's Sincere Washington, and this program has done a lot for me, except for me being in the house or being in the streets. Arion has been a great mentor to me. He has taught me how to frame a wall, how to build a floor, how to do all things, how to measure, nail in without making no mistakes. And I feel like that this program is really can help all kids out here, and that it's helping the community because people are not doing this out here for us. So I think that we can take all the support that we need.
My name is Armand Bowen, and for our community, I just want to help. This is for everybody, to be honest. It's for y'all. We really want to help anybody. We need resources badly. I'm thinking, do we have other people that could join? Like, registration and stuff?
Registration? I can't hear your question. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
I'll tell you later.
All right.
But it's really to help us, to help y'all, to help anybody, for real. Thank you.
Hey, my name is Cameron Brown, and one thing this community is helping us is teaching us how to do trade and learn teamwork.
And for real, he paying us to do this, but to be honest, I don't really got to get paid. I just come out here, have fun with them, you know what I'm saying? Be around other black men, young men like us, you know what I'm saying? But anybody come out here and do it. You don't want to get paid, you don't got to. If you want to, you want to. Most all of us really come here on choice. We don't come here to be forced. We come here to learn, have fun, and just do what we do best and learn something.
Right. And this ain't even, on a daily we have 40 kids, but one thing a kid, I heard him tell somebody else is, I didn't know I can do that. They didn't know they could, do you understand that? They didn't even know they can build. When we finished our first house, we look back because the best part of working with your hands, and one thing about it, Jesus was a carpenter. So there's a reason why Jesus was a carpenter, you know? So like, if we take the nail, for example, I'm gonna always install this trade into them. People take my passion as aggression, and I apologize if that's not the case. But I have to fight for them because you want to, their faces there, they got a vote coming up. I promise you, so anybody that's going against their vision and going against New St. Louis, they got a vote coming up within 4 years. So if we want to continue and to represent, this is who we need to support. They didn't know they can do that. Job Corps shutting down. We're not here asking for no money. That's this community. Not at all. This guy, I just had an event at the Monarch, correct? Right. I was a panelist on it, right? I was a panelist on it. That's because I took a shack that the city gave me for $1,000 and turned it into a $300,000 house. I'm showing them the same thing. I'm asking y'all for a piece of this land that y'all own, that's already cleared, that we'll pay for it. Y'all heard? Y'all can sign off on it. We just need to start our own community. We try to do everything the other way. We asking y'all for a piece of this land for us to build on.
Okay. All right.
And I'm guarantee you this. Because I can promise you this, Mayor.
Okay,
we're not asking. I understand the process. Everybody here to talk who can sign off on that. But let me tell you one thing. You give us one of these lots, and you come back in 3 weeks, we're gonna have a tiny home community already built.
You're doing a great job. You guys are doing a great job. You have my word. We will meet with you. We'll try to figure something out. I promise.
No, we can sign it off now. Everybody in the room. We need 100 signatures. We got the signatures here.
We won't be able to figure it out tonight. We won't be able to figure it out tonight. But I promise you. I promise you.
I want to learn from my parents.
We're on TV right now. Okay,
this is on TV. We need to promise it on TV.
I'm just telling you, it's documented. It's documented. But you got me on record. You got me on record. Okay, you got me on record.
We're not funny.
You got me on record. I promise. But I want to make sure I give everybody.
Every dollar help us. Every GoFundMe help us. We don't have anything.
I know. Look,
y'all can go.
I promise I'm not. I'll tell you what. After everybody has questions, I promise I'll give you the mic again. I just want to give everybody some space. Okay. But listen.
I see y'all at the Pride, everything but you, us.
I promise. I promise. You do a good job advocating for your kids. Okay.
I was going to speak on behalf of the tiny house, but the boys said it all. Aaron says it all. What I wanted to add is there is a fruit and it's called the ugly fruit. And it's called the ugly fruit is because it's ugly. However, it's really sweet. The ugly fruit is wrinkled, has lumps on it, and it's discolored. But when you get into it, it's juicy, it's delicious, it's refreshing. And I hope Aaron doesn't take this as an insult, but he is that ugly fruit. He's delicious though. He really has a really, really big heart.
Okay, but he's not really I gotta say, the man is not that ugly.
And only,
okay.
no.
Not really that,
No, physically, because I know others have important things to say, so I don't want to take long. What I'm trying to say is not a physical thing.
Okay.
It's how he comes across. But I don't want anyone to take how he represents the children and then put a blanket over what they're doing. They were out in the sun. I was out in the sun. I was like peeling for days. But I'm gonna sit down, but I just wanted to let you know that he is doing a great thing, and he's not just building houses. He's also, like the young man said, he's building character. We're going to have these children come out, and we're going to teach them life lessons as well. So it's not an organization or a team just for housing. It's to build. So we're going to teach them how to dress professionally, semi-professionally, casual. They need to know those things. They need to know how to tie a tie. They need to know when to speak. They need to know how to use different utensils when they go out to a particular place where they're eating. So I just wanted to just add that little part. And thank you for hearing us out. I appreciate it. But please just remember the ugly fruit.
From now on, I'm going to think of the tiny homes as the ugly fruit project. I'm just kidding. Okay, I do have, there's some other questions here I want to give some space to, too. One of the questions, and people can come up to the microphone, we'll take them back and forth, but people who took the time to write these out, I want to try to answer them. About gentrification, what are we going to do to protect residents from gentrification? It's for people that are coming in and buying properties. One of the things we are encouraging people right now is don't sell your properties just yet. Hold on to them. We do not have the plan fully formed to rebuild. We are right now, we're considering the whole effort to be one of recovering, restoring, and rebuild. It's a phased project. To give you a little bit of a timeline scope, Joplin, it took them 11 years to close out with FEMA. We're not going to be here for 11 years, but we are going to be here for some years. And we want to get this right. We want to do it intentionally and thoughtfully, and we are not going to develop the plan to rebuild without community. That means it's going to take time. It means that we're going to have some patience together, and it's going to mean we're going to suffer a little bit through this. But we also believe that doing this intentionally with community is the best way to move forward. So we don't have that plan together. This is the beginning of a long process. We were going to be inviting community to come to the table to help us develop what that rebuild looks like. Right now, we're still in the very beginning phases of making sure that we are restoring and that we are really just trying to make sure we're holding community and we're rebuilding will be coming down the pipeline. Yes.
Hey, I wanted to say thank you, because I know it was really hard to get FEMA here under the current administration. Thank you for helping us and the city, everyone that's working. But I have a question. My house it has a red sticker. Okay. And I want to make sure, I want to see if you have like engineers or someone who can go in and tell me if it's safe to gut it and rebuild it, or is it a loss? You know, I don't know how to.
You don't know how to determine that.
And I need to. I want the people who go in to be safe.
Okay.
So.
Do you have insurance?
I do.
You do. Is your insurance company helpful in trying to help you figure some of that out or get those types of assessments?
The problem is yes, they say that it's okay, but then I have like some of the people like Christ in Action,
Okay.
you know, people come in, other people come in and say that it's not safe.
Okay.
So I just want like an official,
okay,
it's safe, you can go ahead and rebuild.
We will be, again, announcing some programs tomorrow, one of which is about with regards to architects. So tomorrow at noon, we're encouraging everybody to kind of go on to our city website. We have, do we have the flyers? Did we hand out the flyers?
They're in the back.
So make sure you will have access to some architecture assistance that can maybe help with that.
Okay.
And it will be free.
Yeah.
Okay,
And if
thank
you
you
have
so
a
much.
moment
Yeah.
after, that may also be a good question for our Building Division and Public Safety team.
For who?
That's true. On some of those programs. What will happen to your property if the owner does not make repairs? Okay. Right now, we do not have any retribution. Oh, is this the line for me? Oh, come on up here to the microphone. I'm sorry, I didn't know what y'all were doing back there. But yeah, come on up to the microphone. I was taking these because I didn't think there were any more questions. We do not have any plans right now to do anything to property owners who are not making repairs unless your property has fallen onto somebody else's. So at this time, we do not have that plan fleshed out. That'll be coming, but not in the immediate future. Go ahead.
In the coalition that exists between city and other organizations who've been boots on the ground, is there a plan to do FEMA application clinics to help people through the process? We have the deadline August 11th. People are already talking about getting rejected. They might not know why.
Yes.
How can we help them?
Yes, thank you for asking that. And Willie Nunn is here. He can speak to that. Maybe that would be the best thing. But we do have some satellites. Mr. Nunn, do you want to come on up and introduce yourself? I mentioned Willie Nunn. Mr. Nunn is our FEMA director here on the ground. And as I mentioned, he has been phenomenal, a phenomenal partner.
Yes, thank you for your question. Yes, I'm Willie Nunn. And I would tell you yes, we can do that with outreach programs, but we have to get work through your community to do that. I know Ms. Clark Hubbard has already asked that question, where she's still here. But we have to work with them. We just can't go out to communities without points of contact to do that. But we have to flesh that out, knowing where you need us to go, get areas where we can come and meet you where you are, and to set that up. But we'll work through your local communities, but we need to know, coming through your point of contact, like people like Ms. Clark Hubbard, people like in your area that has our contacts, and we can get back to you.
Can we talk about, we've got
The
3
DRCs?
disaster
I was gonna
resource
say that.
centers that are already set up. One of them is here, so you can come here. We've got one at the Urban League, and the third one is at Sumner High School. So those 3 satellite locations, you can go in. There'll be FEMA staff there. You can help if you've got rejected, you have questions, you just want to check the status of your application. You can go to any of those 3 sites, and there are going to be FEMA staff on site. As Mr. Nunn mentioned, we are also open to trying to figure out if there are more than those 3 needed within community, and we're trying to establish ways in which we can really embed FEMA throughout the community as needed. But those are the 3 that are committed on site, and you can go to any of those 3 right as of right now during the day.
And they will be there through August 10th, 11th?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and as you know, your ask is for those who want to get trained to help others register, and we understand that. But the mayor is totally correct. Those disaster recovery centers are there for people to do one-on-one, and there are people out there who can't get to those centers. So the Red Cross is looking to, while they're here through the 11th, are looking to help people get there. And so as you look to get training, as the mayor said, coming out to that disaster recovery center, like in the basement of this church, I have the address of those others I can give you right now, and I can make sure you get it before I go. But let me mention them really quick.
Yeah. And so the 3 locations, just as a quick kind of again, is if we look at near the O'Fallon, Penrose area, it's at Newstead and Natural Bridge. It's an old bank, and it's now the Urban League location. It's at Sumner High School in the Greaterville area in Zone B, and then here at Union Tabernacle.
And those should be on the flyer.
Yes, and those are also on flyers outside.
They're on the flyer. You don't have to write them down. And Julian knows them by heart because the city helped us pick them. The city is leading that effort. So I would tell you that, along with efforts like yours, will help people get registered. Thank you.
Yeah. Next question.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Justin Eidelberg. I'm a son of the West Side. I know some of y'all don't think we got one, and even the people that live on the south side of Delmar, you're part of the West Side too. But nevertheless, I know we're talking about tornado relief. Can we talk about the things that's to move forward? as we talk about rebuilding, one of our beloved neighborhood treasures, Soda Inn High School, has been impacted. And some of you all may be aware, our city is a part of like Bloomberg project to help with climate and economic development. Is there a way for you all, when you're doing the planning, to plan for the fourth industrial age? I know a lot of you all don't know what that is. That's where we use technology like at Boeing, McDonnell Douglas, more than just ChatGPT, and to help our young people be empowered with careers that can break generational curses. So when you all are thinking about all this nice and dope things, especially Mr. Congressman over there, you know we got access to a lot of different federal spending. Can we make St. Louis, and particularly, nothing against the north side, can the west side become an innovation hub? You know, we got 70 in Goodfellow. That'd be nice for an innovation district around biosciences. We have one. Huh? I didn't know, but okay. But nevertheless, how and what ways can we repurpose some of the warehouses and other mixed-use commercial spaces that have been derelict since maybe the 1950s or 1960s? I just came to y'all in 1979. Some of these buildings was already vacant. But how do we take this devastation and make it something that helps catapult us into something that will not just benefit our neighborhoods, and even more so the children? Yeah. How do we get our children to be like Jimmy Neutron?
Jimmy Neutron?
If you all know who Iron Man is, and if you've seen Black Panther, Siri, how do we get our children to do the things that we talk about doing, which is breaking generational curses?
Well, one of the things that, so I'll just say real quickly, Justin, I love this idea, this concept, especially as we move into a new green economy. You know, we're really in some ways reliant to some extent on what the federal government can be doing as far as incentivizing and making sure that that industry has a future here in the United States. It's important that we recognize that and support that as voters at the national level, that we want to see that. And I believe St. Louis should be a center of green energy in the nation. Our location here on the most northern part of the Mississippi, where you can transport goods more ecologically and economically than anywhere on the planet, that's through barge traffic. We are the spot that can just get goods throughout the United States. We have a whole host of green reasons why we should be the center of green technology. As we move through this, that's on our mind. You're going to continue to push us on that, and I appreciate that. And we're here for it.
Thank
Do what
you.
we can.
If I could ask something else, when you all put out these reports, I heard someone talk about things around architecture. My organization created something before the mayor and the state had to create their disaster plan. We created a pre-disaster plan that talks about what type of windows and new doors and things of that nature, building materials that you should need in case this does happen in anybody else's lifetime, to help lessen the devastation. And that's all I got to say. And I just appreciate y'all for showing y'all resiliency. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for all the city staff. Our great alderwoman who don't sleep, ain't been sleeping. You know, I'm surprised she ain't got no tornado dust on her now from the asbestos that's on the ground. But thank you, and also thank you, Congressman, for you and your colleagues to help the president do what he needed to do.
That's true.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Yeah, we didn't get FEMA alone. We had partners at the federal level, at the state level. We're really grateful for that. Go ahead. And you were talking about, go ahead, I'll let you answer.
Okay, so I have two questions.
Okay.
One is that I know you guys are giving out free permits. Anybody that's in a tornado and damage, they are giving out free permits. So my question is, if you have an architect, do you need that stamp from the engineer, or can we just run with the architect? Or is there a solution? Because I know he said something in regards to that, but I really
Mr. Ware,
didn't
do you
hear
want to speak
it.
on that real quickly?
Because those blueprints are like,
They're expensive.
They're very expensive.
Yeah, and we have some programs we're going to be unrolling tomorrow about architects.
Yes, sir. Actually, she's going to be the one that speaks to you because she signed me up here for that. But I have questions. So my questions, I know that we are doing the land sale in October. But if we don't have a plan on how to recover this city, why are we selling land? And I personally believe with the tornado and everything that has happened, St. Louis City residents should be the first people with dibs on anything being sold within this city.
Okay.
So with that being said, I feel like it should be pushed back until there's a solid plan on what's the recovery for this city. And that's just it. Because if we are in this city, I've been here 38 years. I've seen Nationals on Grand. And another thing, why is it that we're studied selling? I feel like we should be selling anything to anyone that is not within this city. If we don't even know sometimes that buildings are being sold. And when we know it, it's like somebody else, Arabs, anybody but us, or we have money. Why can't we buy these buildings? Why we don't know about the auctions and the real estates? We only know about the one that the taxes. Like, I know a lot of people agree because we walk around every day and be like, oh, I didn't know this building was for sale. And then the Arab is in it in that building. Now we're sick of that. So with that being said, I know you telling me to shut up, and I'm gonna be quiet. But I personally feel like, and a lot of other people feel like, we shouldn't touch anything. We shouldn't be selling anything until we have a solid plan on what's going to happen with recovery.
Let me talk about that real quickly, because the tax sales are an important vehicle of getting properties out of the hands of sometimes people that have invested. They don't live in this city. They don't even live in the nation, and they have left, and they're dilapidated. So
I did hear you were working on that. Somebody did tell me that you were working on getting that type of things, because it's a building on the corner of my street that's just been vacant for years. Nobody's worked on it. Nobody's did anything.
Okay,
but
those are so the tax sales are really important vehicles for people that have invested and then abandoned our community, or people that are not doing, they've got building code violations, things are falling down. They are an important vehicle, and we don't want to pause them entirely. However, I'll be very direct and honest. I don't think we had thought about pausing them in the tornado zone. It's worthy of consideration, and I think you bring up a good point. As far as giving city residents preference, we are under the way in which we can tax sale properties, either through delinquent taxes or failure to pay fees and fines on building code violations and other things that result in that October special sale you're talking about. Those are special sales that are the result of not paying for your mows or other things like that. We are under state law. State law gives us the authority to do those sales. So we do have some restrictions on how we can prioritize, or even in some cases prevent, certain people, particularly predatory landlords or people who have other violations from buying properties. We are constricted in some meaningful ways. However, I think you bring up a really good point about when we do get to the point where we're starting to sell properties, particularly in the tornado zone or even around that, of giving folks that live in St. Louis a preference. I don't know what that looks like, but to your earlier point about us closing schools, part of that process is because we're losing population so quickly. So one of the most important parts of our vision, we don't have the full vision of the tornado response outline, but we are committed to doing what we can to keep all of our residents here.
Okay.
And I want my tenure as mayor to be marked, to be evaluated on how many people we are able to keep here.
Okay. Because this city has a lot of potential, and it shows that during tourist season and a lot of other things. But I just don't want the North Side. I'm a North Side born and raised, so I don't want us to get lost in the sauce when all of this is being redeveloped.
I hear you. Okay.
So
thank you for that idea on the tax sale and trying to figure out what to do with that. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Dana. I'm very emotional when I come to stuff like this because I just saw that $18 million is about to go to Tower Grove. St. Charles just asked for $18 million for a dog shelter. Meanwhile, North and West St. Louis are fighting for money, housing, and shelter. You worried about flight? If we don't get our people places to live securely in the city of St. Louis and not transfer them to Ferguson, Florence, and Chesterfield and everywhere else that they're sending these vouchers, we're gonna lose our population. These schools will never open. These other schools will close. These charter schools will take over. And as a former teacher and person in education, I know these schools are failing our children. So I'm gonna tip my hats off to Mr. Arion Johnson and bringing these black men in here and investing in them himself. I can tell you as a teacher, 6 out of 10 black boys drop out because we're always watched and they're always a target. Job Corps has been closed. Your average black man drops out of school by the end of 8th grade. The majority of them do not graduate. As a teacher, I went to 17 funerals. My babies need a cause. You can give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day, but if you teach him to fish, he eats for a lifetime. I've been in this city since I was 1 year old, and I've watched it from here to here to here to here. And to see the city of St. Louis where it is right now, I'm hurting. I fear Mill Creek Valley all over again, a story that I just learned. So as I learned my history, I realized the oppression in this city. I've been a business owner for 12 years, renting somebody else's stuff. It took me a year to secure a loan in St. Louis to finally buy a building. I had a building in Newstead and St. Louis Avenue about to take over the old Omni Beauty shop. Bless Mr. Norris's heart, he's 90 years old. He cried when he saw his dream destroyed and his dream couldn't be fulfilled. So right now, I'm without a business. I'm without a place where my black men can come in and rest their minds and heads. And in the process of me opening that barbershop, my goal was mental health and wellness. Because my black men need a safe space to go. I pray that you don't overlook this community as you promised and you hung out at our bars. My community makes me cry every time I drive through it. I have to take the long way home. Because we see that side is built up and that side is cleaned up, but everything around us looks like death. So I'm praying while you're here that you're actually listening, and these people in this room, they actually lend a hand to care. I've been boots on the ground. I'm not with an organization. I went up 7 flights of steps taking our elders' food. I delivered food again today. I've been trying to help other people in the community to take away from my own pain. I've been wanting to be a business owner since I was a child, and it took me 48 years to do so. How sad is that? My grandmother was an entrepreneur, so was my grandfather. The dream should not be that hard to attain in 2025. My people need help right now. They need resources, and if you don't want to see the biggest flight of African Americans in this city since Mill Creek, let's do something to help. That's enough of all the talk. Let's put the money where the mouth is, and let's help. He can build a whole community in less than 2 months. It ain't that hard. And to hear a roof cost $80,000, y'all are price gouging us. I just got they just gave me a quote for $20,000. My mother has a quote for $30,000, and her roof isn't even that big. The city still has a tree they ain't picked up in my mama's yard that she's been asking about for 2 years, fell on the front and the back. But God is good and he's faithful. My mom is 74. She just got married Saturday.
Hey y'all, my name's Anaya. I'm actually with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. You know of us. We actually confronted you on the city's response and the lack of response when you came to Fountain Park. We've been there since day one. And it makes me emotional because we've really seen the lack of response from the city. So I'm gonna keep my question short and sweet. And I really just wanna talk numbers. 1.5 billion tax dollars we're just using Kansas City to subsidize the stadium, 1.5 billion of our tax dollars as well, since we are Missouri residents. I want to talk numbers. You know, I'm tired of hearing promises. I'm tired of just seeing things not done. I'm tired. I'm from the north side myself, and being that we're also one of these blackballed organizations as well that you never seem to mention, I want to know, what are you going to do? And that's it.
Thank you for being there from day one. I've seen you guys there. You're there every single time I've been there. I know you're there beyond the time I'm there. One of the things I mentioned on the front end is we're working on trying to mobilize some immediate funds into the organizations that are standing up what's happening at Fountain Park. I know the city hasn't done enough, but I do want to say so many of our city workers are city residents, and they really were working 12-hour shifts. I know it doesn't feel that way because under no circumstance could a city workforce do all the things that we need to do. What we're going to do, in addition to standing up some of those initial funds, is to continue to understand where FEMA can serve, where the state can serve, and where the gaps are, and try to use our limited resources at the city level to fill in the gaps. We also know that it's not enough.
I just want us to remember that, and I want you to make sure that when you're mentioning these orgs, you mention my org. We've been there since day one, boots on the ground, helping people out in every which way we can. And this is heartbreaking to me. This is personal to me. It hurts to me. I don't want to keep hearing lip service from the city. The things I saw, I don't want to keep seeing it. And we actually launched an initiative, #RebuildNorthCity. If y'all can, please go look us up on Instagram, PSL St. Louis. And we also have a petition as well with demands for the city, because we're tired of lip service from the city. Our tax dollars go to you guys. We shouldn't be having these problems right now.
You know,
I've heard problems on top of problems on top of problems, and we're done. These are our tax dollars. We want to see them back in our communities, period.
You know, I have never mentioned your organization. I just owe you an apology. I have kind of considered it, I think, as a political organization, but despite your political name, you've been out there helping people, and I'm sorry. I have failed to recognize your organization.
Party for Socialism and Liberation. We're multinational, international, but specifically the branch in St. Louis. We have Instagram, if you guys want to look us up, like I said. We have our #RebuildNorthCity initiative, and we also have a petition right now with demands for the city. We ask that if you live in the city, please sign the petition, and please look us up on Instagram. Please, we need to hold the city accountable, period, point blank.
Yeah. Well,
#RebuildNorthCity. It's PSL St. Louis, Party for Socialism and Liberation St. Louis.
One of the things we've struggled with as the city official organization is recognizing political organizations. We've struggled with that from the beginning, especially when organizations serve both a humanitarian side, a nonprofit side, and a political side, because as a city, we can't recognize political organizations. I'm sure with the organization you're with, we can find a way through. And please accept my apology, my recognition that you're right. I have failed to recognize your organization, and we'll work on doing better.
I have nothing else to say other than #RebuildNorthCity, period.
Uh-oh.
Hello, how y'all doing?
I was gonna make an ugly fruit joke. I won't do it. I won't do it.
How y'all doing? My name is Tavion Logan. I have my own organization, Next Up STL, which I also partner with the Tiny Homes Project. And my question is, like I say, we're not looking for no money, no funding, or none of that. I just want to know, why is it that this guy, Arion Johnson, comes up with this beautiful thing to empower and uplift these kids, and it's like nobody is really there for it. I mean, we get the claps, we get the, oh, it looks so nice, it looks so, I mean, like, all we've been getting is backlash and backstabs, you know what I mean? I heard everybody talking about the beautiful north side. I'm from the north side as well, the west side. We don't care about none of that. These kids are what we need to be caring about. Honestly, real talk. I mean, like, you look up, they closing all the schools down, but the juvenile, they're not gonna never close that down. That's only spreading and getting bigger. Look up the DYS Center. You know what I mean? Why we can't have nobody to come get them a building? Why we can't have nobody to fund and do things for them? I mean, I'm just being honest. I'm not being rude. I just want to know why we can't just have everything and everybody to pour into these kids. They the next generation. Understood. But then again, like I say, and then when other organizations come around or come to, when they come around, their whole biggest thing is, we need to do this and do that and have the kids to do this and that for funding. Funding ain't the only thing we worried about. That's what it seems like everybody worried about. We're not worried about no funding. We don't care about that. We want these kids to change the narrative. I was a young kid. I was one of the first kids to get certified at a young age. That's not fun. That's not cool. Look at these kids up here. They want to see something. They want to see a difference. They want to see a change. They look on YouTube and play these games, look on these phones. They don't see nothing that can better them. But then you got this guy out here pouring his whole heart out. That's about literally losing his voice day in and day out. I get emotional. I don't even cry, but I get emotional when I think about it. Then if you got people calling me talking about check him and do this and that, no.
I want to give space to everybody else who has questions, and I promise you I'm not going to leave, and we will have this conversation. I just want to make sure I give everybody else some space. Okay, thank you for highlighting it again.
My name's Allie. I just first want to say thank you for your time, because I think this is really hard to stand up here. And I don't envy you and the situation that you were handed on May 16th, especially as new mayor of our city. I live in the 9th Ward. I work across the 9th and 10th Ward in a grassroots organization that I lead. I'm going to keep this really short so that other people can have the mic tonight, but how do I get dumpsters? Like, I need dumpsters up and down the blocks that I work in, like water. My team's been privately funding them. I'm out of money. I'm down to my last couple $1,000s.
Wait,
and
where do you need these dumpsters?
Academy neighborhood. Like we funded every single dumpster that you see up and down.
Okay.
And I live on one side of Del Mar where the trees are getting picked up. I go and work on the other side, and there's still debris everywhere. And I want to understand why that's happening, how we can fix it, and who I need to talk to.
Okay. Well, I think Greg, can we talk about the trees situation? And we've got our forestry director here, as well as our parks director. So
It's on for streets.
Yeah, I'm happy to
rectify that. Sean, can we talk about refuse in the dumpsters? Okay. So these are the three.
Like, we have large trees that are still in people's homes. Like, I'm still working at homes where the time paused on May 16th.
Well, I think one of the issues that we're running into is that when the trees are on private property.
Right, but now they're in the lots beside it, and we still can't get them picked up. And
that is a legit issue that we're having.
Yeah.
Removing large trees is no small feat. I have like Dylan Mosier here, or sorry, Dylan, not Mosier, Dylan.
Holly.
Yeah, okay, my apologies on your last name. But we've been working on a plan to try to get, there's Laura and Dylan Mosier. Okay, great. How to get the big trees removed out of private property. It is we recognize it is a big issue. And what you're seeing on the other side of Del Mar, we are seeing private citizens, paying for that removal.
No, we're also seeing the city take the removal for those private
on
streets.
On private property? They're not removing it from private property. The city is not removing it from private property.
Maybe we can talk after.
Have they? Yeah.
But I can't get city trees removed.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we're going to rectify this. I'm glad you brought it up. Okay. We have the people here.
I just think
to rectify this.
Having worked across both sides of Del Mar, why is there a disparity in the way that our trash is being picked up on one side versus the other? These are just basic amenities, and I keep telling people, like, it shouldn't be apocalyptic to have your trash picked up, and we can't even get these children back into their homes until we make sure all this large-scale debris is out of the way. And to do that, we need dumpsters, and I've personally spent over $35,000 funding dumpsters in the Academy neighborhood, and that's money that could have gone to so many other things for these families, but instead we're spending them on trash removal. It just feels really Handmaid's Tale-like. Do you know what I'm saying? Just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
So
can we, maybe our debris team, do you mind?
Yeah, I'll talk to anyone.
What was your first name?
It's Allie Rand.
Allie.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we connect with Allie and make sure that we're kind of taking these concerns in our debris plan? Thank you, Dylan.
Perfect.
And
I
then
won't take
can we
anyone.
talk about the tree removal as well as any dump, especially if there's a disparity with regards to tree removal? Can we rectify this? I mean, I appreciate you bringing this to our attention.
Yeah.
And it is my desire to see this rectified.
Perfect. I don't want to take up anybody else's time, but thank you.
Do you mind having, they're waiting for you. Yeah.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. My name is Dr. Jasmine Nolan Eccles. For the purpose of this discussion and or question, I'm just Jasmine. I want to say 4 generations in where I have lived, I have had issue with the incompetence in all 3 branches of the City of St. Louis government. When I asked you
among a group of my constituents what it means for the city of St. Louis and or you to have a plan for North St. Louis. You told me you did not have one and you do not know where to begin to create one. So my question for you is, which of the very competent North St. Louis residents and or taxpayers and or registered voters have you engaged to come up with ways to communicate to community, the continued consequence of not communicating with community is the reason why you don't have a plan. It's the reason why the Board of Aldermen cannot come to a consensus on what's necessary and needed for North St. Louis. It is a reason why we're passing bills that don't consider all residents and only considering some. And the answers to your questions today, it continues to do that. So I'm asking, I understand we removed all Black representation from the city of St. Louis upon your appointment, upon your election. So I'm asking, what are we doing to engage and include the very competent, educated, informed, tax-paying registered voters in the development of a plan to not only rehab, but restore the North St. Louis neighborhoods?
Well, I think the first part of the question, I don't have a plan. But to say that I have ever said that I don't know where to begin with one is, I think, maybe perhaps mischaracterizing, or maybe I would like to characterize what I have said and what I will say here tonight in a different way.
Thank you.
A plan to redevelop and rebuild North St. Louis shouldn't come from any one person. It shouldn't come from me. It shouldn't come from any one person, and it needs to be built with community. This town hall is one of those ways in which we're communicating, being present when invited to neighborhood meetings like over the weekend, like the previous weeks. Representative Kimberly Ann Collins hosted one last week that had a phenomenal turnout. Being present, answering questions, and starting to gather that input about the individual stories, like this woman here, her story, having an insured home that just happened to have been vacant at the moment the tornado hit, and understanding where the gaps are. Meeting these young men and trying to now figure out how to support the work they're doing. It starts by being present, being invited, and hearing what is happening in our community. And I hope that as we move through the next few weeks, months, and years, we'll continue, you included, will continue to feel an avenue to provide feedback, guidance, and help us develop a collective plan to rebuild our community.
I want to be clear about helping collectively and equitably and what that actually means. If you don't have us a part of the decision making relative to the plans that you implement, for example, the bill that was just passed that was written by Casey Milberg and Megan Green, that is not a representation of all of North St. Louis, and it was not done in a way in which all of North St. Louis was reflected from the state level to federal funds to local funds. We are taking these funds without considering housing stock, actual economic data, actual research platforms, and things that have been done for decades before now can be considered to create a plan. It does not.
Which bill?
What'd you say?
Which bill?
The bill that was just passed for the 30 million or whomever that was. Okay. It didn't consider the fact that the housing stock in the city of St. Louis is adjacent to Chicago and parts of New York. It wasn't considered. So we are under the impression that the majority of the housing stock is single-family homes, and that's inaccurate. It's a lot of things that are being passed in the legislative body that do not reflect the population, the housing stock, the education, the safety, the makeup of the city of St. Louis. It doesn't include it. So I want to know, what is your plan to include and incorporate the experts that are residents, that are taxpayers, that are educated and live within the confines of this area that may not be corporations, that may not be funders of your campaign, but are individuals and or business entities that have lived and breathed this place.
Well, Jazz, I want to just say on that bill, the bill was actually kind of unique in that it didn't direct the expenditures of any funds. It really just freed funds up. And the reason being was that we wanted to make sure we had a set of funds that was flexible and free to be used without constrictive overlay on it. So with regards to that 30 million, I will say that even though it was just written by a couple people, the purpose was really to be as flexible as possible. So how it gets spent has not been fully fleshed out or developed. I did mention those first set of priorities, the humanitarian aid. We're trying to make sure we can legally get funds to the organizations that have been present and been really serving the community without getting paid for the last several weeks, and then staffing out so we can try to do some direct-to-resident outreach and the communication you're talking about. As far as the communication strategy, it's something that Julian and Casey, the rest of my team, is in the process of building out. If you have specific ideas of how to set that table, I would really appreciate if you could take some time tonight and share those specifics with us, and I would be grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jazz. Hi.
Hello, Mayor. Nice to see you
Nice
again.
to see you again, too.
So I may have missed this question. It might have been answered already, so if it has, just let me know. For the demolition homes, I know most of them are going to be properties that are already vacant or have been condemned. But what about the homes that were not, that pose a risk to neighboring homes? Have those homeowners been given notice? How will you ensure that those homes are not demolished before they have been inspected for damage in order to receive funds from FEMA and other agencies? And how will you prevent demolition companies from profiting off of those bricks?
Okay, yeah. Well, let me say, we are not right now demolishing any properties that weren't vacant and condemned before the tornado, with those exceptions I outlined, which would definitely include owner consent, hopefully owner request. Okay, so we are it's going to take us some time to get through those, and so we are not going to be doing those other demolitions that folks might be concerned about anytime soon, and we will have a more robust set of communications going out before that happens. As far as the demo companies making profits on the bricks, I honestly hadn't contemplated that. I bet my team has to some extent. I know demolition companies under current contracts, when they get a contract with the building division and take a building down, they are able to resell anything they're able to salvage. So you bring up an interesting point, because there's going to be so much brick and there's going to be that. I don't know the answer to it. I'm grateful you brought it forward, and hopefully we can be thinking through that as we move through this.
Okay, I have one more statement to make as well, and I know people are tired of hearing about it, but I just feel like we should be prioritizing programs like the one Arian Johnson is running. Not only is he working with the youth to prevent them from becoming statistics, he's helping to stop the school to prison pipeline mentality. He's teaching them new skills, setting them up for bright futures. He is also giving our unhoused community, who are very underserved in the city of St. Louis, an opportunity to have a safe place to sleep at night. He is giving our tornado victims a chance to stay within the community that made them who they are today. That is where programs like mine come in, to offer supportive programs to these individuals who will be in these tiny homes, to help build the amount of tax dollars that go back into our communities. We have the potential to build our community and help dismiss the bad reputations that our communities are given by people who don't even live here. We are not asking for money, we're asking for support. We are asking for you to not leave it up to these big name agencies, but to give some of us smaller agencies a chance to make true change, because we see firsthand what is needed in our community.
Thank you.
So I just want you to keep that in mind.
I just saw two young women come in.
We got women in there. We got 4 girls.
All right. We've been talking about these young black men, and here I see these two beautiful women walk in too. Okay. Do y'all want to introduce yourselves? It's kind of taped up. Here we go.
Oh my God, I'm scared.
You got it. Huh? You got it.
Represent these women.
You got it.
Hello. Okay, stop looking at me. Can you say?
Just tell us your name. Yes, just tell your name.
My name is Elise, and I'm 14, and
How old are you?
14.
How about you talking to class?
They want to listen to what you have to say. Okay, hi, my name is Elise and I'm 14 years old, and I joined the Tiny House Project because I believe in what this program stands for. I've always been interested in working with people and making real differences. And this gave me a chance to do it hands-on, and I wanted to be a part of something that helps build not just houses but futures. This job isn't all about the work; it's about the impact of tiny homes. Tiny homes means tiny homes means stability, opportunity, and hope for someone, and I'm proud to help with that, and that's why I'm here.
Hi, my name is London, and I'm 14.
What you learning in class? What y'all learning today? What y'all working on? White and do it. What are you working on?
Right now, we're working on changing a bus into a mobile home.
What type of bus?
A school bus.
How long is the school bus?
8 feet.
How long is the school bus? What is it?
40.
40 school bus is going to turn into how many bedrooms in it?
How many beds?
How many beds?
4 to 8.
4 to 8 beds for transition bus. So we got 2 buses. Because when the tiny homes were in order to place it, we went and bought 2 buses. So we make them transition buses. One bus already have 6 beds in it, a kitchen, a bathroom, what else, and a living room. So right now we got the second bus, and the kids are fully designed. Like, what was the idea that you're gonna bring to the bus?
To build a sunroof in it.
She want a sunroof for the bus. What's the idea you gonna bring to the bus?
A pull-out dish rack.
A pull-out dish rack. That way you can pull out, then you can better use it for something different. Like they getting innovative. This bus is gonna build this bus. This bus gonna fit at least 4 beds. That way, a tiny home only can support one person. But these buses they transform and can get a mother with 3 kids. It's all transitional temporary. They showing how they can help the community in the smallest ways. Like the houses didn't work out for us. It's still because delay don't mean it now. You know what I mean? So it was delayed, so we had to keep going. So we bought these buses. That way we can pull the buses anywhere we need to put them. So right now, our kids, we designing the buses. We got a water filtration system, or we got solar panels. These kids' minds are so artistic and bright, but like I said, they didn't know they can do it. So right now, we can do it, but even the young ladies, they just so bright. They didn't know they could do it, so I appreciate y'all. They make my heart glad you talking.
And I just want to say, as a parent, just watching my daughter and her friend in this program has been very fulfilling and amazing so far. They've come home and been excited. And this is something that it wasn't happening in school. Like, she asked me to help her with her homework. He's really giving them value and basically, like, making them, want to actually do stuff that the school wasn't doing. And so projects and things like this are very important. I think that the city should focus more on this type of programming for young ladies and young gentlemen so that they can have something to do this summer that's not just being out, being wild. You have to think about this is giving them interest, it's giving them skills, it's giving them all kinds of things that they can take with them to build upon. It's introducing them to new concepts. So that's all I wanted to say.
And just one quick note, again, before Mary Spence takes more questions, before we get to you, Tamika. Just so you all know, we do have to be out of here by 8 o'clock. So if you have questions, we definitely recommend people get in line. We'll be here as long as we can be within the facility, but we will kind of be getting out of here by 8 o'clock. So we'll probably wrap up Q&A by 7:40.
Good evening. My name is Tamika Steigers. I live in the 10th Ward, and we've been talking about the homes. We've been talking about our youth. Let's talk about businesses, because if we know we want to change and rebuild St. Louis, North City, the business community is important. So I'm a business owner. I own my own building on Del Mar in the 5800 block of Del Mar. I have a salon and spa. But whenever I rise to talk about small business, it's not just about my business, okay? So there was $37 million in funding to North St. Louis businesses that has not been delivered. Okay? Now these same businesses are suffering through this disaster while the money sits in the bank. I'm told that there are numerous compliance issues. So my questions lie around those issues. How many issues are there? Is there something you could put on the website? Who's responsible for tackling these issues? What's the timeline? These are things, when we throw out the word transparency, we hear you guys throw it out a lot. We need to see it. Transparency is actionable, okay? And then you tell us the SBA is here. They're giving out loans. As a business person, if I have the opportunity to get a grant or a loan, I'm gonna go with the grant. That money has been allocated, okay? We just received loans. Some of our businesses received loans from the SBA during COVID. These businesses are not in a position to tackle another loan or take on another loan. We need answers. I see our president of SLDC. I saw the chair of the SLDC board. I see members of the SLDC board. I attend the meetings. There has been no mention about this in any of the meetings. That's doing us a disservice. It needs to be on the next meeting agenda. We need to have all of these issues outlined, and we need to have a plan on tackling them so that the money can get in the hands of the business owners, because that is part of how we are going to change North City.
Okay, Tamika, I agree with you. We need to, I hear you. I think you're reasonable and absolutely right to ask for a timeline and what the compliance issues are, and you have my word. We will work on getting that, and I think you're absolutely right. It needs to be by the next meeting, and we will work towards doing that. Thank you. I promise.
This money will be clawed back.
Yeah, I'm with you.
There have been large amounts allocated to businesses that want to build things from the ground up. We're running out of time.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
Stacy Conley. I moved here a few years ago from Seattle, Washington. I retired as a juvenile detention officer. I went to KIPP on the south side. My first day, I go to the store. A kid in there with a big gun and bullets around his waist. So my heart is with our Black youth. And is there anything in place, because I'm kind of new to the city, is there anything in place for our Black, especially our Black boys? They're dying daily, and it hurts my heart. And we need a lot to put our tiny homes on.
Yeah.
We need a lot, like today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I hear you. You're right. You know, I'm going to offer you what's nothing more than an excuse in saying we were sidetracked by the tornado. But this is a priority. It should be our priority, and we will do better on prioritizing things for our young Black men to do.
Is there any way that we could meet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can meet. In fact, I'll step outside with you. I worked at the Juvenile Detention Center. I volunteered there for many years. And I thank you for your service. I know that's a hard job, and it's a meaningful one, and it's an important one. So thank you for doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. My name is Prince Carter, as you very well know.
I reached out to Mr. Johnson this morning. I'm committed to supporting him in his journey and what he's been doing, and I think it needs to be expanded. The other thing I would like to say, and I wish more people was here, we have to accept the fact that the mayor has been going through some things based on what has been done over the last 4 or 5 decades. She inherited some things that need to be fixed. She should have very well knew before she ran for office that she was inheriting these things. But out of all fairness, I gotta hand it to you, Madam Mayor. You've been doing a great job. You've been doing a great job. And I commend you for what you're doing. You got a long ways to go, but if you continue to work the way that you're working, I appreciate your efforts, I appreciate your passion, and I appreciate everything that you've been doing since day one. You know, I mean, you're not 100%, but you're getting there. All right? And one last thing. One last thing. We have got to find more ways to support our youth and save our youth in this community. We got to do that. And this man has got the ball rolling, and we need to jump on it. That's all I got to say.
Good evening. My name is Diamond Turman. I'm a stakeholder in the Fountain Park neighborhood. And I know there was news stated about monies being allocated to the Ville neighborhood, $7 million. And I want to know what funds are being allocated to Fountain Park in a neighborhood where there is an active development plan and strategy, comprehensive for that neighborhood. What are the plans for allocations for funding over there?
Thank you for bringing that up. The $7 million for the Ville funding is not something that came directly through the city, but we do recognize that it's needed, and a lot more than that is needed, and we need to kind of counterbalance that. We've been trying to figure out, do we go through a CDC process where we're kind of focusing on the neighborhood development sort of a process? I don't have the answer to you right now, but I do recognize that as these funds are kind of coming up organically and organizations that have footing in communities, like you see in the Ville, that community organization has been successful at driving resources and that sort of thing, and other communities that don't have that sort of infrastructure need it more and are getting it less. So as we move through this, we're going to try to counterbalance that. I don't have an answer right now specifically for Fountain Park, but
because there is infrastructure in Fountain Park, but we don't have the funding or the support from the city.
I've been talking to some of the folks involved. We've been talking to some of the folks involved in that redevelopment plan, Kevin Bryant, and some of the other folks, to make sure that we are trying, building that together, but I don't have it outlined at this point.
What do you think the roadblocks are for that when there's a plan already in place for that neighborhood?
For that, that's something I know that the folks involved in that development plan have been communicating with our St. Louis Development Corporation. There have been some positive conversations in the last couple weeks about that. The roadblocks as of right now, as I kind of mentioned on the front end, is that we've been really focusing on the triage aspect, and as we move into rebuild, that's just a longer piece. I don't think there's any roadblocks to my knowledge. Rather, I think it's just a longer process than I think most of us, including myself, really want there to be.
Because I know Fountain Park was one of we were hit very heavily
yes.
to the storm.
Yeah.
So just definitely wanting to know about that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you have some ideas specifically too, I mean, yeah.
Hello. Hi. So I know it's been said 1,000 times, but I wanted to reiterate. I really want you to work with small grassroots, such as myself, such as others, that's out here spending our own money, our time and everything to make sure that we take care of our neighbors. I know that things was rocky between some of us, but we need to work together. It shouldn't matter who we voted for, it shouldn't matter who we support. Right now, our city is hurting, and everyone needs to come together. So we really want to be at these tables with you when you are making these decisions, when you are having these meetings, and even just meeting with us to see what's our agendas or what's our thoughts, because a lot of us have solutions because we're closest to the problems. Ariana, I support him 100%. I support him so much, he was a panelist at our town hall so that he can be placed in rooms with others to make connections and network. You know, my thing is crime, and it's about saving our youth. So this situation is really vulnerable for our youth too. A lot of them don't have homes to go to. A lot of them was in situations, safety situations before this. So imagine being in a safety situation where now people know that you don't even have a home to go to, so it's stressful. So we also need to talk more about crime prevention too, and what we can do to keep our youth safe, to keep our families safe, to keep homicide numbers going down, to keep crime numbers going down, because this situation will make those things rise too. So I would like a meeting with you as soon as possible to sit and talk about those things.
Thank
And
you.
I want Ariana in the room too.
Okay, thank you. And we're going to be rolling out a communication plan that does involve regular communication, debriefings, and really sitting down with the organizations that are doing this work. Thank you for being willing, despite our past differences, to sit at the table with us to try to figure this out together.
Hi. I know y'all are probably tired of hearing about the tiny houses, but I just got something to say. I'm a single mother of 5 kids, and I have 4 boys, and 3 of my boys attend his program. 2 of my kids, not to be all putting their business out, but they just got out of juvenile. So I feel like this program is really helping them to basically skills like trades. They like going. My kids don't even like going to school, but they like, coming to the program. They meeting new people. I just feel like that this program is something that the youth need. Like I said, they juvenile system is crazy with young kids. One of my kids just got charged with something that they did not do, and they been in juvenile for 4 to 5 months, and they steady claiming that they didn't do something, and they didn't do it. They just dropped the charges. It's just kids nowadays need to be off the street doing something positive and good working environments, doing something with a man that's positive and not being on the streets picking up guns, all in stolen cars, all of that. I just feel like that the Tiny program is helping them for its mentor program, all that. So I just really, really, really want y'all to look into it. Y'all saying y'all is, but I really want y'all to see that it's helping the kids. It's helping the parents too. So that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I am Reverend Sheila Scott, a part of the Spirit of St. Louis Task Force. What I wanted to know is when we're looking at the RAMS Fund, if you can talk a little bit more about the oversight that will be put in place to ensure that there's equitable distribution of the funds.
Thank you. We are focusing right now just on the 30 million, and we are focusing it just in the tornado zone. One of the things we're going to be, as I mentioned on the front end a couple times during this, our focus on getting the first tranche of money out is going to be on those buckets of cooling and making sure that folks that are in really vulnerable spots have access to ice and water and those sorts of things. The staffing so we can do some direct outreach to community and standing up some of the organizations. While we're hoping to get those funds out as quickly as possible, we will be fully transparent on where they go, and then moving forward into the next phase of those funds, we'll be establishing some better, some more robust community conversations around where those funds go. That'll be part of it. But as far as transparency goes, there'll be a full accounting of all those funds. That's how we're handling this. I know it's under emergency order, and so there are some, we have some, I think, I don't know, ways in which you can mobilize funds faster that don't require the front-end transparency, but we are fully committed to being transparent on how and where all the funds go. Yeah.
And then my second question may be towards FEMA. When it comes to the local businesses that's been impacted, as well as the churches, the nonprofits, what are additional things that they will be able to do when it comes to accessing the funds that FEMA may have?
And maybe, and Willie, I'll comment on one thing before, just 'cause I don't even know if you know about this one. So one, I do know we're working directly with the Spirit of St. Louis and the clergy to pull together a list of all the churches in the impact zone to directly have a meeting directly with FEMA to directly support those efforts and be aware of what those programs are on the PA side. I'll let you talk about it more generally, Willie, but I did want to say that that meeting is coming. So if you're all aren't connected, I know y'all are, that'll be the major avenue for churches.
And that is correctly the answer. For your private nonprofits, working through the city, because the city is an applicant with us at FEMA, and knowing how to connect with the city and work with them is how we can be transparent and work with them, get you funds if you're eligible for them.
Certainly, because I know that many of our churches, the clergy, have been boots on the ground, making sure that we are helping the community, also dealing with the trauma that exists when people are talking through the impact that this storm has had upon their lives. And so we want to make sure that we're helping those wounded healers as well.
And as Julian said, it's a conversation. You have to have that conversation on what you were doing, because our eligibility depends on what you're eligible for and what function you are doing during the disaster. Making sure that is in concert with the city to make sure that is something that you could be eligible for, working in concert with the city.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Annie Dunlap. I'm going to make this short. To my knowledge, we had about $1 billion in damage, but we're only working with $500 million for repairs. So my people here, you don't understand, the mayor can only do so much with the money we have. $500,000 versus $1 billion in damages. So she can't sell you a dream. And what I want to ask the mayor is the non-for-profit agencies that had boots on the ground, how can we make sure the money that we do have don't get wasted into some of the non-for-profit organizations that's not really legit? It's a lot of stuff been given out, generators to people that was not affected. How do we make sure that money get to the citizens for real, and not to family members, friends, and how do we check out those businesses, those non-for-profit organizations, to make sure the little money we're working with get to good use and not be wastefully spent? Because giving out cases of water, a bunch of people selling them on the corners, okay? And then how can we just make sure checks and balances are done with the little money?
We've been balancing, the question of transparency, making sure that we have safeguards in place with getting the money out as quickly as possible. As of today, we haven't distributed money directly to nonprofits. We have distributed a lot of resources to nonprofits that we were getting in as donations. So we solicited a ton of donations for water, for generator, for flashlights, and those sorts of things. And the donations came in, and we were distributing them out, and some of those might have gone into the hands of folks.
Well, that's understandable. I'm talking about cash money.
But for cash money, we are putting safeguards in place, and there will be a level of transparency. Right now, the only funds that we're planning on going out the door are going to be to organizations that we have been truly witnessing being on the ground, working with community, and to stand them up for the next couple of weeks. And then as we move through this, we do having very little to no overhead is a key piece to making sure that those funds are spent well. I hear you, and if I don't know that the answer to this right now, but possibly taking in complaints and making sure that we're triaging anything that comes in that way. We don't want the limited funds that we have to
go to waste.
But just for a little bit of context on that, so we do have direct relationships with certain groups who are serving as resource hubs on the ground, where we verify their 501c3 status, verify that they have access to the land and areas they're on. So we're working through a lot of those individual pieces.
I think some of it would be like,
Thank you for taking. I know you're just about ready to go, but you said something that made me get up out of my seat. Kevin Bryant is not a friend of Fountain Park. Okay. Kevin Bryant had at least 16 buildings that were boarded up for over 15 years. Kevin Bryant had a house next door to me, and I asked him not to start the fire because I had breathing problems. When I called the city, he didn't even have a permit. Kevin Bryant has never worked with the neighborhood. We have Fountain Park Lewis Place, and Dr. Pam Talley is our president and who fights for us. So I just want to plant that thought, and he cannot come in our area and not work with us. He doesn't respect us. The other thing I like to do you have a resource for seniors to help them clean out their buildings and pick up the trash? My house has a red tag on it. I need now to take all the things that are out and have somebody pick them up.
Okay.
But I ask you to just remember what I said, because we've been struggling for so long before the tornado came, because we had all these vacant buildings and we had an absentee landlord, and that's a nice name. So I thank you for the opportunity, and I hope that someone will be able to get back to you about some resources for all seniors and all of us to get rid of the stuff, because my house has been sitting for 2 months now. And so there's a lot of things going in there that are negative that I need to, it's my responsibility to clean out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got a couple more minutes. We're going to stop probably in probably about 2 or 3 minutes. So we'll take one more question, then we'll make sure we stick around to make sure any of the questions get answered, at least during the time we have left.
I've got an interest in both the 9th and the 10th ward.
You have
An interest in both 9th and 10th, so this was very fitting. My question is, obviously, as we look at immediate impacts of the tornado, this is important, but as we look at long-term sustainability of this city, our neighborhoods, and the region, I really want to understand what your administration's plan is for filling a number of the boards and commission seats that have been vacant for a number of administrations. Unfortunately, there are people that are serving beyond terms. There's vacant seats on there, some of which obviously the mayor can appoint, some of which are obviously focused on economic sustainability, workforce development, selling the region, and obviously bringing and attracting businesses to not only our neighborhoods of need, but the city and the region as a whole. So I would love to understand what you all are looking at prioritizing to fill some of those roles and seats, to bring not only community voices, but disparate voices that haven't been elevated, to not only from not-for-profits and community organizations, but from a civic standpoint as well.
This is such an underappreciated phenomenon. Thank you for bringing it up. We literally have hundreds of commissions and boards in the city, and there's such a huge number of folks that have been on those boards and commissions longer than I've been alive. And I'm not exaggerating. There has been like this ongoing, just same people doing the same thing over and over again on these very important roles that are the boards and commissions that make up the Board of Adjustment, the Planning Commission, a whole host of things. Many of them are on expired terms, and it is such an underappreciated, really important function. We just hired somebody to serve to help us make sense of all the boards and commissions, to understand all those pieces and start to help us wade through them. So the plan is in motion. It isn't developed, but we do have a staff person coming on in the coming weeks to help us really flesh that out. If you're interested in serving on a board and commission, please apply online. There is a spot to do that. We are actually going through all the folks that have indicated their interest in those positions, and we're making considerations, or we will be in the coming weeks and months ahead. Okay. The special business districts go through those subdivisions. Those special business districts, if they are set up separately, they would be elected separately, appointed by the mayor, but they would be presented by the special taxing districts. So some of those that are outside of the city commissions, but there are a ton within the city's purview that are all online and you can apply for. Please do that. That list is a legitimate list and a legitimate way to express your interest in serving in those very real and very important capacities. I don't know the specifics on that one, but we can look into it. I honestly don't know the specifics of that particular one. Okay, I think
Yeah.
Do we have two questions? Okay, we
Okay.
have one more question.
We'll take this last one.
And then we're gonna break out into song and dance. I'm kidding.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I was sitting back and I was just listening, and I'm with Kingsway Development. I wasn't going to say anything, but that was kind of a little rough as far as the last thing that was just said. But know that there's a comprehensive plan to help bring back one of the neighborhoods that was in place before the tornado, and now it's an even better plan now, for after the tornado. So anybody's welcome and open to come see that plan. We've been meeting diligently with the city. There's a new administration, so we got new life. And again, the city's been open to listening to those things, all the way from working with LRA to SLDC. The city is really, really, really trying to get involved and make this thing happen for North St. Louis. And I can say that, and I can say that personally because I'm sitting in those meetings. And again, we'll get more details and there'll be more things released, but at any time that any neighborhood organization or anybody wants to see what's happening in the Fountain Park area with Kingsway Development, we have an open door. So you want to see the plan, you come see it, come see what we're doing, and we're more than happy to welcome anybody to come see that plan, talk about the plan, and if you want to add to the plan, you're more than welcome to do that. But as long as you got a plan, we can talk about it. Thank you.
All right, I really want to thank you all for staying here for the long haul, for coming out. As I mentioned, we don't have these plans fully fleshed out. We're going to continue to take your input, make sure that you're telling us where we're missing the mark, where we need to do better, and we're hearing your suggestions on how to be more present, to hopefully have a communication plan that that everybody, including Jazz, can be a part of, that we're rounding out how we build the plan together. Despite where you were 3 months ago, despite where we all were 7 weeks ago, here's where we are, and we want to work together to make our city more whole and better than we started out. I want to thank Julian for arranging this, Pastor Nix for hosting us, for Alderwoman Clark Hubbard and Alderman Browning for staying with us the entire night. And thank you all for being a part of this conversation tonight, and hopefully many more conversations to come. Thank you to Mr. Nunn for sticking with us, and our department heads, so many of our city staff. I know we haven't done nearly enough, but I also just want to say folks like Dan Gunther in the back, many folks who have left, really do care. We want to hear your input, working so hard. Thank you, Dan, and thank you to everybody from the city, Rasmus, I see, everybody that's been working so hard over the last few weeks. It's been truly humbling to see our city staff working so hard and still knowing that we're not doing quite enough. Yeah. All right, thank you. Thank you to STL TV for putting this on record and keeping us on the up and up. All this has been documented, so if you missed something and you want to go back, STL TV has got us on tape.